Good morning. I'm Joan King. Pastor Cody asked me if I could talk to you a little bit about what drew me to the Moran United Methodist Church. So there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer, of course, is that God drew me to the Moran United Methodist Church. The long story goes back a little farther. I grew up in Clarkston, Washington, the fourth of 5 children, and was fortunate enough to have a mom who had found Jesus and made sure that her children went to church all the time. So I grew up with a sense of community, a sense of church family from the time I was very young, when Tom Chase used to pull my pigtails in church and then give me a piece of gum. So we attended church all through my childhood, on into high school. I graduated from Clarkston High School. And then I kind of fell away from the church for a long time. And it wasn't until my husband and I were in Texas many years later, 2 children, that I found that I really wanted my children to have that sense of church community, that sense of church family that had been such a firm foundation in my life. So I don't know if you're familiar with Texas churches, but back in those days, there were a lot of really, really large Texas churches. And I knew that that was not what I wanted. And we attended a couple near us that were very large, that had ranks of pastors, where you might not ever meet the senior pastor. So I had just about given up when I realized that there was a small Methodist church just down the street. We lived in Rowlett, Texas. So there was the Rowlett, Texas Methodist Church. And we started attending there, and we loved it. It was small, sanctuary about the size of Moran, and we loved it there. We attended a lot just before we left for Pennsylvania. We moved to Pennsylvania and very quickly wanted to find another church. And for some reason, I decided it was going to be a Methodist church. So we attended a couple of Methodist churches. And after attending one of them, Reverend Shaver came to visit us at home. And it was one of those things where you just feel a connection with somebody. And we all really liked Reverend Shaver. And we most especially liked him when, after our younger son asked if he could be an acolyte, Reverend Shaver said, "Absolutely, Jeff." So we didn't find out until later that he should not have been an acolyte. He was 2 years too young. But Reverend Shaver said, and so we did. And Jeff was, much like Isaac is here at Moran, so serious about his acolyte duties, and it was wonderful for us as a family. We attended church, our boys were baptized and then confirmed there, and it was wonderful, wonderful. And then we left Pennsylvania, and we came back to Washington, to Pullman in specific, and tried various churches there. Nothing, no denigration to them, but none of those churches felt like home. None of them. So then we retired and moved to our new home up here. And I found myself wanting more and more to be active in a church, to be part of a church, but also active in the church and active with the church. So I looked in the phone book. Honestly, that's how it started. I looked in the phone book for Methodist churches near me. Turns out there are a lot of them. But as I read about some of them, and I kind of didn't feel the right fit until I saw that the Moran United Methodist Church was on the Moran Prairie. I had no idea there was such a thing as the Moran Prairie. So I thought, I'm going to try that one. I am going to try that one. So I came here to Moran the first Sunday, and I came in and I sat right out there, and I loved it. The people I got warmly greeted at the front door. People wished me well immediately. And I came in and sat down, and I think it was Patty came over to me and put her arm around me and said, "Honey, are you new?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she leaned in real close and she said, "You're going to love this church. It's just like churches used to be." And I thought, oh, that's what I was looking for. So I listened. Pastor Cody's first sermon made me think deeply about being active with my church, because it was clear to me this was going to be a church that was active in its community. So I listened, and as I was ready to leave, oh, by the way, I love the hymns because they're like the hymns I learned when I was a kid. And as I was leaving, I ran into Kenny Orvik, and he said, "Oh, are you new?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Are you going to join?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of church shopping. I didn't want to be like hemmed in, right?" And he said, "Oh, okay, well, I hope you choose us." And the next week when I saw him, I said, "Yeah, I've chosen you." But of course, the reality was that God chose me and chose me for this church, and this church chose me. So here I am. I am excited to still be a part of this church. I joined the church, and that was a bigger thrill than I could imagine, to see my name on a name tag with the flame and the cross. And I'm sorry that I can't be active like I was at the elementary school nearby. I was helping kids learn to read. I'm sorry that I can't be active with my book group. I think it was the second week that I was here, Priscilla Bowen stopped me and said, "Joan, someone told me you might want to join our book study on Sunday morning." And I thought, well, hey, yeah. So I did. And that's where I met lots of good people. So the Kiefers and the Bethels and Bev Polk, and who else was there? Of course, Priscilla and Kenny. So what drew me here? God drew me here. What keeps me here? God keeps me here. The people keep me here. The pastor keeps me here. The community keeps me here. I couldn't be more thrilled.